Do you like making gifts for people rather than buying them? Are you looking for new ideas for homemade gifts? Have you got leftover paper napkins you would like to use up? If you answered yes to these questions, then stay watching for a step-by-step tutorial on how it's done using notebooks. Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. These are the 4 notebook covers we're going to do today. They are really beautiful and it's so easy to do. A beginner could do this. Also, the napkins on these notebooks are from NinnysNapkins, and if you would like to purchase any of them, check out the description below for a link to the shop, and also for those first timers, a discount code is down there too. The notebooks I'm using today I bought from our local Kmart. I live in Australia and they are only $2 each. You can get them in both black and white, and so I've decided to decorate the covers of these. So the first thing you need to do is take the cover off so that you don't get this messed up, and if you have a look at the cover you'll find that there's a link there, and these actually move. So if you bring this up here, you can actually pull that off all the way along to take the cover off. Now at the moment I'm taking the back cover off. There we are. If I want to move this up to here now, I can take the front cover off just as easily, and you can put them on just as easily. I'm going to put down some silicone mats so that I don't make a mess, and the first thing I'm going to do is paint the front cover in white, titanium white, because I want to put a napkin on it, and that brown background will dull down the napkin and I don't want that to happen. So I have a tub of water and a paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint this. Now this paint will soak in, and you might need to put a couple of coats over the top in order to get this white a nice white and an even white. I just run this, I don't go right to the edge of the cardboard, I just go to the edge where the holes are with this. I'm going to leave the back the cardboard colour, and it gives me an edge to bring the napkin to. You just run your brush to the edge. Don't leave any ridges in your paint either. Wipe it so that it smooths it out. Now if you're going to completely cover the front with napkin, then you don't have to be as fussy as if you're only going to partially cover the front with napkin. Now I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to check it out to see if it needs any more before I proceed to the next step. The first cover is dry now, and I've decided the napkin I'm going to use is called Harmony in Blue, and it's quite a pretty napkin. And what I'm going to do, I've already started cutting it, but that half that napkin is more than the width, but I want it to go all the way to the top here, so I'm going to cut up here and across there, just so I make sure I've got enough napkin to cover this. This page. There we are. See, it completely covers the page. Now what we need to do is peel all the extra layers off, and I'm going to set that right on the edge so it covers up any white that I've painted and just gives me a nice solid color there, like that. Now I'm going to use quite a wide brush, and I have my mixture of watered down Mod Podge. Now we need to make sure that that's definitely in position, and I'm going to start with the glue on this side and work my way across that way. And make sure it's wet right to the edge so that then you can just peel the excess napkin off while it's still wet. Turn it to the light so that you can see if there's any ridges that need to be flattened out. I want this a textured look. I'm not trying to get a smooth look on this. Okay, I think I've got it stuck as much as I want it, and I'm just going to let that dry now. The second way I add napkins to a surface is by holding the napkin in place, folding it back, and using the glue on the surface first, and then placing the napkin down. So I make sure that this is completely covered and even. There's not big ridges of paint, there's not big ridges of glue there to make ripples in my napkin. And then while I hold this end, I carefully put that end down. Try and get it so that it's spread out evenly. And also, I don't do this if that's wet. I only do it while it's dry. Now that I'm going to wet it, I won't do that again. I'll just push it out with my brush now and make sure the brush stays wet, because a dry brush could tear your napkin. And I'm working from the left to the right. You could work from the middle out, but I don't want to work from the right to the left, because I don't want this bit to go any further past where it is. I don't want to get the napkin in the holes there. So I'd really prefer to work from the left side to the right side. Now what I'll do is I'll lift this up, and I'll do the rest of this down to about, down to about there. Keep that napkin up in the air so that it doesn't touch any of the glued area. Smooth the glue out. Now I can put this down, and with two hands I can firmly stretch that onto that surface and get a nice smooth finish. Now I feel this method gives me a much smoother finish. The other method is I get more crinkles. So if I want a crinkledy look, then the other method is what I'll use. If I want a smoother look to my napkin going down, then this is what I'm doing. Now you're probably thinking, why has she got that halfway up the page? Well, the reason is because the whole picture repeats itself after this, and I don't want that bottom half up here repeated. So what I'm going to do is, with this napkin cover, I'm actually going to put a section in there that is writing, maybe my gardening journal, or Judy's notepad or something like that, so that there's writing in there to say what this book's about. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottom section, and I'm going to include, and it's got a little tear in it, this top section, but I'm going to fix it. Okay, it won't take much to fix. I'm going to put glue down on this bottom section now, completely cover it. And then I'm using the top half of this the other side, and I'm just going to add that in there like that. So it will look, once we put our decorative piece through here, it'll look like a continuation of the same picture. And what I'll do is I'll tear off this excess here and across the bottom. I think I need more glue right up to the edges there so that I can tear it. And I'll wait till that dries and I'll just cut that off there. Now, I might come back and just add a couple of little bits in over here. Actually, I might just do that now so that it looks like this is coming up there. So I'm going to put some glue over that there, and I'm just going to add this little one in here as if it's part of the scene. I'm not that happy with how dark that is, so I'll show you how I'm going to fix that, because see how bright these are? And that's very dull because of the green behind. So I've got this little one here, and I'm going to, once that dries, I'm going to show you what I'll do about that problem. While this one's drying, I'm going to put some decoration on this one. This is, I've now put the cover back on the book, and I want to have a piece of cord that dangles through to give you a place. But I want to hang something off the end of it too. So I'm making this at least twice as long as the front cover. So I've got plenty of cord to play with. And this is just a little bit of shiny black flat cord. You could use ribbon, rope, string, whatever you have in your stash that you think might be of interest. And I'm going to trial a couple of different things. I want to hang something off the end of this that hangs just below the book. So I've got a couple of little things I'm going to look at. First of all, I just thought I'd see what I've got in my little charm pack that might go with this. I've got butterflies, hearts, little owls. The little owl's cute and he's gold, so he'd match that. I've got a little frog. That leaf's nice. Now I'm just going to get a toothpick and push that through the hole in the charm. Aha, there we are. Now let's see what that looks like dangling out the end. That's not bad. Oh, the other thing I had were these little timber pieces, these heart shapes. All those different, oh, could be fun. And so all I need to do now is tie it off so that it doesn't come undone. I'll just do a couple of knots. And I'll cut that short, and I might put a little bit of that glue on it to stop the ends from fraying. Actually, I'll use the thicker glue, not the watered down stuff. Just on the end there, and leave it down there to dry. Just so it's not going to come undone. Just want it to about there. And I'm just going to tie a knot in that too. Okay, so now there's a knot in that. This will not pull up anymore, and that won't pull down anymore. Now what I want to do is just put a little tag on this end. So I'm going to get some of this leftover napkin, and I'm going to glue it to this paper. I'll have that bit there, that corner. Going to cut that a little bit bigger than what I want. There's no layers on there, and then just going to add glue to this, and then I'm going to cut a little tag. Now on one side will be a piece of the napkin, but on the other side you can have a choice. You could write a little note of your own, you could write a little quote that inspires you, you could stamp something. So there's different ways that you could do this on the back side of it. And there we are, we just put that down there, and then we just do a light gloss of glue over the top. I could have used double-sided tape to do this too, it wouldn't have mattered, but I want to get it a little wrinkly, like this is wrinkled. So I'm not trying for perfection here. And now we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll make our little tag to hang off the end. I went back out to my shed and I found this little bead, and it's got a big hole in it, as you can see, and that's the front of it. It's a nice little flower looking, and it's blue, and when I put it with that blue it matches. So I've decided, I've undone the rope or the cord, and I'm going to put that bead through there, and then I'm going to stick that knot inside the hole, so the bead sits over the knot and the loop on the end of the frog's nose, and that hangs out the end there. And then I'm going to tie another knot above it. Once the paper has dried, you'll just cut along the edge to get rid of the excess. Now, I do have some shapes out in the shed, some dies that are the shape of a tag, but you could just as easily just cut your tag yourself to the size you think you want it. I think I want it about, I'll just make it a bit more even. And I might bring it down a little bit, and then just put a edge either side like that. Okay, there's my tag already ready to go, and all I need to do now is a hole punch just there, and just put that in. Hopefully I'll get it in the right spot. There we are. There's my hole. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this through here, a little feather on there as well, just for some added decoration. Now I only want it hanging down a little way, I don't want it hanging down a long way. And see, that little thing there hides the hole somewhat, and then I'll just tie it off, and I'll do a double knot just to make sure it holds. Now you could always come and put glue on these things too to make them hold a bit more, and I might just shorten that and just put a little knot in the end, so that if for instance they don't want the tag on there and just want to leave, say, the little charm on there, they can just undo it and fix it. Now I told you I was going to show you what I do with this here because it's a bit dull, and what I've decided to do is put that over the top. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some white paint in here, and I'm just going to put a little mark with where I want that white paint to go, and it'll be virtually out to there and on that patch there. It'll all actually finish about here, and just in this area here. And I'll let that dry before I'll come back and put that over the top. Now that the white's dried, it's only a matter of just gluing that little piece over the top of the white, and as you can see, by putting it down there and adding some glue to it, it's not going to change in colour a whole lot because it's got a white background. Just hold it in place. Whoop. Oh, now I've done it, haven't I? I've folded it. Now I've got to get that off and on without tearing it. There we go. There we are, just a little bit of extra yellow there, just so it looks like it's coming up from the bottom here. Now I did say when I was gluing this on that there was a hole in this bottom section. If I bring it up there, can you see that just there? It's a little hole in the napkin. Well, I'm not going to waste it just because there's a hole. I'll just get some paint that's sort of close. What I might do is mix a little bit of this green, and you know, whatever greens you've got around, if they're a similar green, by mixing them or adding a bit of white or something, you might be able to get close to what this is. So I might just put that and that together just to dull it down a bit. So make it darker than that but lighter than that, and just get a little brush, little pointy brush like a script liner or something, and just put a little bit in there, and just put in a couple of other places too. And okay, now the hole is gone. Now to finish off the front of this one, to cover that white patch there, I've actually cut gold, light green and dark green cardstock, and I've cut it from there to there long, and the gold I've cut just a little bit wider than the gap I left, and then the green I've cut 1/2 centimetre or 1/4 of an inch less than the gold, and then the dark green 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 centimetre less than the light green. And then I've just put them together with double-sided tape, or you could use glue, and I've just glued them together, and I'm going to stick that straight on there like that. And I'll just do that now with double-sided tape. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just peel this first middle bit off first, because when I just put it down with the middle bit there only, it's not going to stick because it's actually not touching that surface until I push it. So I just get this in position first, make sure the edges are lined up on both sides properly, and then I moved it when I went to do it. Let's try it again. Make sure there's an even distance across there, and just push it in the middle, and then you can lift either end and peel the tape back. Now you could do this with glue too, no reason why not. I'm just using tape, but you could use glue. I've peeled that down there and stuck it. Put this, peel this tape up and do the same thing on the other side. There we are, completely covered that gap now. And what I did is I got my little punches again, this punch and this punch. This one I cut gold out of, and that's going to go in the middle there. And then I've got a little book that's got verses in it, and I found this little verse that says, "Find joy in every new day." And I cut that with this punch, and I'm going to glue that in the middle there like that. So I'll just tape that on now so that I can get this in position in the middle. Okay, so that's stuck in the right place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a little bit of mounting tape to raise that bit up, so it's a bit more important than what goes behind it, stands out a little bit. Now just look at that and think, eyeball it, make sure that bump is right in the middle there, and there's roughly the same distance either side there. Might move it along a little bit, and then push. And there we are, there's the front cover of that one. I'm going to show you each of the decorations I've put on these books now. So this one, I've just added a little frog and a flower charm to the bottom, tied the rope, put the rope through the book, tied a double knot there, and then punched a hole in this little tag put the cord through the charm and the tag, tied a knot, and then tied a second knot in the bottom here so that it doesn't fray. And you could also add fray stop or glue to that if you wanted. So there's that first little book. Now this one here, I've gone crazy with hearts, and so I've got a few strings hanging off, but what I did is I put a double thread through this lot. It's actually 2, so I looped that through there and tied a knot, and then brought it up to here, tied another knot, and had 2 different heights hanging down, and added 2 of the hearts with those, and then cut off the excess, put it through and tied a knot, and put 2 more hearts on the end of those 2 ends. So this one has 4 little hearts hanging off it, and that nice little charm with a little clear stone in it to go through the book as its placekeeper. Now this one, I just added this band through the middle and find joy in every day as a little verse to go on the front. And the last one, this one, I've got 2 charms hanging off at the top. That's a combination of 2 wooden beads, a little metal bead, these little wooden charms, and then the bottom I've got 2 little hearts hanging off at the bottom there. I'll move it up a bit so you can see them, but I've got 2 little hearts hanging off at the bottom there. So and this one I painted all white, and I actually cut that across there and then added a butterfly from another napkin. So that's 2 napkins on that one. This one I've used part of one corner and then a top of another section to add more here so it looks like it's a continuous picture. This one was an all over pattern, so it's one continuous piece. And this one was an all over pattern, so it's one continuous piece. And all those napkins, their names will be up on the screen. Some of them you may have seen me use them before in other projects, and I'm just trying to show you that napkins can be used for a variety of things. Don't just use it for one project and think, oh well, I've got all that left over now going to waste. No, use it on something else. These little books were quite cheap to buy, but they'll make beautiful little gifts for somebody for a notebook. It's a lot prettier than just a standard notebook, and it's special because you've done extra to it. Nobody else will have a notebook like that when they get it. That's just a one-off, so it just makes it more special. Let me know in the comments below which of these books you prefer, number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4. I'd be very interested to find out. On the screen now are 2 videos. One is the latest one I've put up before this one, and another one will be on more a playlist on some more napkin videos if that's what you're interested in. So take advantage while they're there and you don't have to go looking for them. Thank you for watching and have a great day.